been built around the idea that dangerous things happen with the excessive accumulation of power in the hands of the few. That's true in government especially. It also has its own manifestations in the business world. That's why American antitrust laws are built up around consumer protection. They're built up around ensuring consumer choice, because when consumers have options, there is competition, and competition tends to bring down prices and increase quality. When any of those things are destroyed, that is when the levers we have in place to control, to protect us against the dangerous accumulation of power, either in government or in business, the common man and the common woman suffers. And ultimately, all of society suffers. What you have with the ESG movement is something that could easily combine the worst of the accumulation of power in business and the accumulation of power in government into one. So they understand that they're working against the clock. They're on a collision course with reality, unless they can somehow get government to strap on the ESG effort and to make it the government's own. Because otherwise, ESG in the United States could face a demise as a result of antitrust actions, because ultimately the ESG agreements presuppose agreements not to compete. You've got entities saying, we're not going to compete in this way for these customers. Let's all agree that we're not going to do that and exclude anyone who doesn't. That's illegal. In fact, that carries potentially criminal penalties under our antitrust laws. And then they could also face lawsuits from shareholders whose value has been diminished as a result of a betrayal of their fiduciary obligation to their investors. Both of those things could find their antidote in government, again, taking on the aura, taking on the objective of ESG and mandating it through reporting requirements, immunizing it in one way or another, refusing to go after people who have engaged in agreements not to compete. And that's why this vote yesterday was so important. It was one of the first volleys in the war about incorporating ESG into government, strapping it on the apparatus of government and forcing it on the American people. Even though it is likely to be vetoed, I think that veto is going to lead to a lot of change, because I think a lot of Americans are tired of this thing. People who in the past maybe even voted consistently Democratic are being frustrated by this, as well they should be.
Mm-hmm. So over what time span is this process going to unfold?
I think it'll happen over the next 2 years. I think it'll end up being a big topic of